And we're live.
Still.
That's the one drug, or I guess there's like heroin too, but the meth is one where I trust. And yeah, PCP. I don't hear much from the government about PCP, but meth is one where I trust Nancy Reagan. She had the right, just say no to meth.
You ever heard about somebody who's like a functional meth head? Like, yeah, I come home from a long day's work, do a little meth, but it's cool. Yeah, but it's cool. Like, it's fine.
Actually, like truck drivers,
Yeah.
You hear about like the guys who have those jobs that require them to like be up for long periods of time, and the longer you can stay up and be functional, the better. Those are the only functional meth users, and I'm not sure if it's long term, it's viable for the long term. But like, remember Deadliest Catch, like how they would talk about like, oh, these guys sometimes they get tired, and then we'll look and Billy's been swept overboard. We don't know where he is. It's like, shit, maybe I should do a little meth. Maybe I should do a little meth before I go out there and do my crabbing on the third shift. Like.
That's the thing about meth, and I'm outside my area of expertise, but I read about this because I'm intensely curious.
Yeah.
I'm super curious, and I've read about it, and I've watched the videos, and you start off super functional. You start off with this level of like, oh man, I'm still me. I'm still with it. You're not drooling and bumping into the walls. You're just happy. It's just like the dopamine. It's just like, man, everything is okay now. You're in traffic. It's 5 a.m. The raindrops are on your windshield, and you find beauty in every one of them.
No, that's you're thinking of heroin.
Am I thinking of heroin? Do I have it mixed up?
That does not sound at all like meth.
Because nobody is sitting calmly in traffic after smoking meth.
Shit, I don't know my drugs. I shouldn't talk.
I can assure you that that I was at EDC for the first time, which for those who don't know, it's a music festival that takes place from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in Las Vegas in June. So it is it's a 3-day thing. And, I absolutely do not do any of these things. But when you come in at 5 a.m. on day 3 and, they got like this in the techno tent, and everybody's just sitting there like ringing a plastic water bottle and grinding their teeth and just looking like they've been doing this for way too long. And you look at it and you're like, yeah, I can't envision anybody doing like 3 steps above of the coke that you've just done and doing anything functional in life. Like you're really going at it right now. Yeah. So I can't see meth being like,
well, then I'm wrong on meth, but heroin, it seems like even coke, like you do a little and you're not like on the ground drooling, grinding your teeth in water bottles and such. Like you're functional. It's not the dragon they say it is, and that's almost part of the problem. It's like they've overblown how terrible it is the first time, and then you start developing your own opinion, then it becomes that terrible over time. That's my impression of how drugs suck you in.
With heroin,
let's get you some heroin.
See,
yeah, we'll try it out and see how it works.
Having a rough day, throw it in there, make everything fine.
Heroin, it's usually people who get, or I guess nowadays it's people who get addicted to painkillers. Yep. And then when they run out of painkillers, it's cheaper and more available to get heroin, and that can be cut with whatever, and that's how you get
fentanyl,
horrible right? OD deaths. Yeah, it might just be fentanyl, and you inject it and you die. So
fentanyl's
crazy.
Really good. Fentanyl is amazing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because you get that before surgery. Am I mixing it up with a different drug?
I do. I don't know. Fentanyl's like stupid deadly.
Which one am I thinking of?
You're
the
thinking
Michael
of
Jackson
morphine.
one. No.
Well, now the Michael Jackson fentanyl is used. No. All right. So what I've always gotten before surgery was that was a different thing. Fentanyl is a
that's what
propofol. Yeah, that's the one. You're not.
That's the one I'm mixing it with. Propofol. That. I'm a huge fan. I have to break a leg or something to get it. Almost worth it.
What is it?
Yeah. I have to have a follow-up surgery on my leg to get the screws taken out. And when they described it to me, I had 2 thoughts. One of them was like, well, that sucks, like a follow-up surgery. And the other thought was, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you should plan some sort of a recreational activity to do while you're on it, right? Like, hey, could you give me a little propofol? Don't knock me out. Let me play a few video games. Then dose me up after about an hour, and we'll get this show on the road.
Sir, this is a hospital.
My ACL surgery.
Sir.
I'm like, where's the feel good drug? And they're like, yeah, do you feel like you need it? I'm really anxious. Let's get that shit flowing.
I mean,
and they did.
You can see why when I had my wisdom teeth out and they gave me Vicodin, you know, and they only give you enough that it's going to last you like a week or something like that. Thankfully, you know, mine were pretty bad, but not so bad that I was just miserable and had to go back. But you could see how somebody would get addicted to them if they had too much for like their condition, because I went to go see a movie and popped 2 of those bad boys in there and got into the movie theater. And I was like, I looked over at my friend halfway through. I was like, man, like this shit is crazy. And he's like, okay, like great. I'm like, yeah, I know though. It's really good. And then, yeah, it was gone and that was that. But like, I can understand.
I had that same experience. My wisdom teeth were bad though. It took 3 weeks.
Mine were impacted. They had to break my jaw. It was terrible.
I
don't have wisdom teeth.
3 weeks of recovery. So that's how long I was on like the Vicodin or whatever it was. And at the end of it, like, man, I felt the pull. Like I wanted more. I'm back at the work and I'm in the office. I'm doing accounting and it's just like, man, you know, like I think I kind of preferred to be on that painkiller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opiates are crazy.
I get it. I get what happens to people. If I was, I don't know, Brett Favre or something, he had a pill problem way back in the day. With access to all that stuff, where you take it for a whole season, I can see how that happens to people.
Look, I think we should give everybody in the United States enough Vicodin to sort of get addicted, just so everybody knows what it's like, you know?
Yeah,
everybody
a little empathy.
You know, just give me a little Vicodin, and I'll let you know how I feel.
In capital letters.
Just make sure everybody is on the same page here.
It was fine for Dr. House.
Yeah, he's my idol, and he solved a lot of things.
All while high on painkillers.
I did in the tech sector, which I'm sure you guys have heard of, but yes, the tech sector, which you've heard of. But no, there's this trend on microdosing, LSD, acid, where you take enough to have a subconscious effect, but not actually, as the kids say, trip. And there was and my roommate in college was one of these people that was all about it and very much believed so. Billy is actually in prison right now, if you care to know. So he, not on the greatest track, would not recommend this. But
I had a roommate that went to prison. Carry on.
Oh yeah, so he.
I mean,
yeah, it's interesting. But like he would go to bio class at 8 a.m. and right before take a tab acid. I'm like, okay, like it's 8 a.m. I'm getting coffee. You're doing acid. And he'd come back 8 hours later, like on his way down from things like, man, lab was pretty cool. And I'm like, nice. What'd you do? And he's like, we mixed some chemicals. I don't really remember, but like I did the classwork. And I was like, okay, great. Doesn't seem very effective. But like in coding, a lot of people who code that I've talked to have at least 1 or 2 people in their office that definitely do it semi-regularly. So
I mean, but do you know what you call somebody who has to microdose with bourbon every morning? An alcoholic.
An alcoholic, yeah. But when you microdose with LSD, you're just an interesting character.
Oh, I've never done LSD, so I don't know.
I have no idea
the effects of it, but
not a clue.
Yeah, I mean, if it works for them and it makes you better at making apps, fucking go for it. Who cares?
They act like it's Adderall.
I don't like. I wish I could chime in and be like, well, here's what it's like. Like these guys are functional, so
if you've never coded before, it's a lot like writing a story. Like I'm sure everyone here has had stupidly long papers, 10 pages or more due, and sometimes you're flowing, and every 40 minutes you get another page out, and other times you just like staring at your computer, not making any progress. Writing code is like that as well. Sometimes you just the super view, figuring out one thing after another. And they say this microdosing puts you in that zone, but
I can believe it.
I have suspicions. I don't know.
Well, if it does,
I think
it could either be that or just a clever way to get high at work.
I don't think you're going to your boss and it's like, listen, just want to let you know I'm going to be doing acid from now on. And he's like, great, like you're welcome to it. You get a pay raise and you're good. Like I feel like that's not the way.
I think the acid thing is more about
cash.
I think the acid thing is more about creativity, and the Adderall thing is more about energy and drive,
productivity,
productivity.
Creativity and
Adderall is pretty great if you were on the assembly line. Oh, dude, you should totally be on Adderall. If you're that guy who's like dipping mufflers in the coating and then like turning it 180 degrees and hooking it on the hook and sliding it down, and you do that for 9 hours at a time, that's an Adderall thing. But if you're coding, that sounds more like an LSD thing.
All right. So what we've determined is the dare needs to be. That's already gone, right? We need to get a different type of dare to get a bunch of people to do a bunch of drugs and be like, here's what will happen.
Children.
LSD, let's get kids on acid and see what happens.
Art class is gonna be so much fun, guys.
Dare just goes back to its original meaning where you dare people to take heroin and shit.
Like, we just want you to know what heroin's like. This was the best shit ever. It's like, oh no. Well,
yeah.
Just telling everybody no didn't work.
You know what drug nobody does anymore? We were watching Platoon the other night, and there's a part where like he turns that big long fucking opium pipe over to Charlie Sheen. He's like, come on, man, hit this. Nobody does that shit anymore. Nobody actually smokes opium. Like I don't think you don't even hear about it.
There's a weird trend of people trying to take every drug to the extreme, and now that weed is mostly legal, especially in California, I have some friends who I'll go over to their house and they've got like dabs, like concentrated wax of THC. Mm-hmm. Now my friend sends me this article of this group of people that have created a 99.9% pure THC crystal rock. And I'm like, at what point are we just now, like, this is like the crack rock of weed.
That's like, ridiculous.
Like, now we have this is like now a hard drug where you like crush it up and you just fucking snort the weed. Like, at what point is this just?
Yeah, that seems like making like a shot of like Everclear, where it's like just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right. At what point is this like now just a problem? Like this, imagine going into somebody's house and you're just like, hey man, you got weed? It's like, no, but I got crystalline.
Well, I've got THCA crystalline, the world's strongest hash with 99.99 THC. Why are you leaving? Yeah. Well, because you're a fucking maniac. You don't just have the regular kind that like Indians used to smoke.
Like my dad smoked this shit. No, like, you gotta have a blow. As soon as like somebody has a blowtorch, I'm like, this is no longer a thing that you just like do normally. Like, you have a blowtorch for this. Like,
makes it look a little worse.
Yeah, the optics aren't great here.
Yeah, anytime you've purified a drug to the point that it looks crystalline, you're gonna turn people off, because the only other crystalline drugs are like meth and crack, and those don't have good reputations.
Well, crack isn't crystalline. They take cocaine and they mix it with baking soda and water and form little rocks and just let it.
Yeah, it's like a crystal.
No,
it's. I don't know much about crack.
Somebody who
I don't know anything about crack. I'm just saying I watched a lot of drug movies though, and when they're making crack and stuff, and that's how you make crack.
Look,
just say
stick to smoking swag weed, kids. All right, and you're not gonna fuck up your life. Don't microdose acid. Don't do crystalline. Like, just no heroin, no opiates. Just.
You say that. Meanwhile, Bill Gates is over there microdosing 24/7, just coming up with new shit. Richest man on the planet.
Can you imagine if like Elon Musk came out publicly and was like, "Listen, a lot of you guys aren't gonna believe me, but SpaceX wouldn't have happened without LSD." He's on stage doing a half a what do you call it? The tabs, a sheet. Doing half a sheet while he's. Part of me
let's talk about Mars.
The Boring Company was supposed to be a joke I made, but here we are. I was just super, super high that day, guys. And I had like so much government subsidies. I was like, throw it at that, I suppose. Like
when he microdoses, he just becomes like some unknown Eastern European descent. Like what the fuck?